And just like that, the boys are back. Matt, Jack, and Brian, views from Section 400. We hope everybody had a wonderful Easter weekend. He is risen. Boys, how was it, man? Anybody get too drunk and not make it to Easter dinner?
Well, Brian told me before we started recording that he's still nursing a hangover from last night. So tell us more about that, Brian.
Yeah, I did not rise out of bed this morning. It was a rough morning. A lot of wine flowing last night. More wine after Easter dinner, which was my main mistake. And it was red wine, which always gives me a gnarly headache. So, fun night, rough morning.
I had a very good Easter weekend. I went down to Jacksonville, one of the best cities in America. Spent the weekend with my family, mom's side. Got to play some 18 holes with my brother. Good golf right there, TPC. Not at like the course where all the pros play, but at the country club right next to it. Still nice. A beautiful area. And I'm not good at golf. I'll tell you that right now. But it's a journey, and I got pretty good with the irons as the day went on.
Did you break 100?
Dude, no. I didn't even keep track on half the holes.
Probably for the best.
Yes. Yeah, man. I was able to get some golfing as well on Saturday, so good stuff there. I thought I played pretty well. Hit some nasty putts, which I was pleased with, and the driver was dancing. So good round of golf for the first time this year. And Easter Sunday, obviously with the fam, grandparents. I was kind of on Brian's boat, sneaky hammered. I wasn't planning on getting drunk, but they just kind of were flowing a little bit, and rough morning in the office, but we're here. We're recording, and we have NBA playoffs, MLB, the Mets and the Phillies play this week, so Brian and I can have a little banter back and forth there. Michael, the week's still here, but yeah, I'm excited. I thought Brian was going to have something else to add there.
Well, I was going to say Easter's low-key a sneaky drunk holiday.
Yeah, it's just always with Christmas, like there's other kind of like takeoff, like PTO vacation days built around it. Like, especially like Christmas Eve, you can get hammered and don't have to worry about work the next day because the next day's Christmas. Like, you get drunk for Easter, sneaky hammered, and just about everybody has to work the next day for the most part. And that's what makes it difficult.
Thanksgiving, dude, even Thanksgiving, isn't that always on a Thursday? So sometimes people will be having that Friday off, or they'll just take the Friday off, have a long weekend. Nobody has to worry about it. Easter, though, you better get up for Monday.
Yeah, Easter is like a quick turnaround. Nobody cares what you did on Sunday. You better be at work the next day. But we made it. We grinded through. Years of experience. I was able to make it through Monday nursing a hangover in the office. Well, either way, we're here now, ready to go for a full show. We'll get into all the action that happened this weekend and more. Starts right after this.
We finally made it through winter. Spring is here, summer is coming, and the best place to get tickets to all the baseball games, all your summer concerts, or anything else is SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the official sponsor of Views from Section 400. First-time purchasers can use our code ViewsFrom400 at checkout for $20 off any tickets, whether you're going to a baseball game, watching the Mets, watching the Phillies, you want to see a country concert on a lawn, and wherever venue you want to go to. SeatGeek is the place to go. Super easy to get any ticket. They have a one-of-a-kind system, shows you the best deal for your buck, and the best part, you get $20 off your first purchase with code ViewsFrom400 at checkout. We love SeatGeek. Thank you to them again. And here's the rest of the show.
We're back thanks to SeatGeek. As always, the NBA playoffs tipped off this weekend. We had the NHL, drop the puck, so to speak, in their respective arenas. But, it was a fun weekend. No Sixers in the playoffs, so I'm not as dialed in, I don't think, as I normally would be. Usually this is about the time where I turn into a delusional Sixer fan. That's the one team I will admit I get delusional about. Eagles, no. There's no delusion there. Phillies, 50-50 maybe at times, but the Sixers full-blown delusion, and they're not in for the first time in since 2017. So
I think you've dialed back your delusion a bit since we've started this show.
For Sixers or baseball?
For Sixers. No, but Phillies, you're still
You think
Phillies,
so?
you're just so locked in. You have to be delusional.
Yeah, I guess so. 162, it's a long haul. And I don't know, man. Like everything I said about the Eagles, like they were spot on this year. I know it doesn't work like that every year, but can you call that delusion? Let me know in the comments if you've seen back all my Eagles rants during the season. Like, was that delusion? Or were they just that great? I mean, they won the Super Bowl in blowout fashion.
They were a
I,
good team, and that's
I
why
think
they won the Super Bowl.
I think two things can be true. You were a little delusional. You're delusional every year. You think they're the best team in football almost every year, but this year it was true.
Yeah, I mean, 2 years ago, you were in the same position, preaching the same things you were just this past year, and they were a good team 2 years ago. They just collapsed and
I mean, nobody can see that collapse.
Bucks.
Yeah, that was a joke. But then 2 years prior, either way, Sixers are not in the NBA playoffs, and I think that's where it totally. I was having fun watching the tanks. I was rooting the tank on. This is the most fun I've had since they started Trust the Process. I think they need to phase out Trust the Process. It's, I know gimmicks are kind of sometimes what propels teams to the greatness or the great land, but this gimmick, if you want to call it, it did not work out well for the 76ers. And now they're just milking something that doesn't really exist anymore. And we'll see what happens. If they get Cooper Flagg, you're looking at Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, Cooper Flagg, Paul George, and Joel Embiid. They all stay healthy. Could be a really fun year, but knowing the Sixers and Philly luck, probably won't get the one pick. Probably won't even get top 6 protected. It'll probably go to Oklahoma City. And it'll be riddled with injuries all next year and just an absolute disaster from the inside out. So that's kind of how I'm feeling about the Sixers right now. But for the teams that actually matter, and I was pleasantly or very happy to see the Lakers go down, lose home court to the Timberwolves. I feel like everybody chalked the Timberwolves off. The Lakers were supposed to run through this first round and maybe not run through the playoffs, but a lot of people picked them as the Western Conference final winners to hopefully dethrone the Boston Celtics, I think is kind of everybody's matchup, but we didn't get it, or at least after game one. The Timberwolves are here to play.
Yeah, no, the
Anthony
Lakers
Edwards is him.
Anthony Edwards is him, and the Lakers were my pick, and I'm kind of rattled about it now. But the real story of this game, I think it was 2 years ago, Anthony Edwards responded to a reporter asking, "Are you sad you didn't get Kevin Durant?" And he said, "Who needs Kevin Durant? We have Jaden McDaniels." Jaden McDaniels was Kevin Durant in this game. But he had 25 points. He missed 2 threes out of 8. Like, if he plays like that, the Timberwolves can definitely go win a ring.
Yeah, he played really well, shot the ball with confidence, and that was sort of the Lakers' game plan, was to let him shoot the ball. And as their worst, the Timberwolves' worst offensive player, like they were like, all right, if Jaden McDaniels beats us on offense, Jaden McDaniels beats us. Well, he beat you, so they're gonna have to go back to the drawing board. I don't think Luka, LeBron, A. Reeves, I don't think any of them played good enough to propel their team to a win. They're playing too much. It seemed like regular season basketball for them. Like somebody has to kick it into that next gear, take over and dominate.
LeBron kind of looked like he's 40. And it's not often he looks his age, but he looked a little old.
Yeah, outside of the one chase down block, vintage, blocked by James he had, it was Austin Reeves coming across, did it perfectly, slowed down whoever it was on the T-Wolves going for the layup, and then LeBron chase down block. That was phenomenal. But other than that, no, you're right. He looked fatigued down the stretch, and this is game 1 of the playoffs.
Yeah, and it's also, we'll get to the Rockets game, but the playoff debut for JJ Redick, and didn't look very good.
Well, it's a whole different season now, right? And I think it's the most it's the most present in the NBA out of all the major leagues of the difference between the regular season and then the playoffs, just the way the players play, the intensity, everything. And I think that's why you see LeBron's age showing a little bit. He's still a great player, but 40 is 40. You know what I'm saying? Especially in a sport, he's not Tom Brady sitting back there throwing dump passes and coasting out till he's 48 years old or whatever he was. He has to run up and down the floor 40 minutes a night in the playoffs. This isn't LeBron 10 years ago. This is 40-year-old LeBron. We haven't really seen big expectations on a Laker team with LeBron James. I think this is probably the first year, right? Like last year, people weren't picking the Lakers to win it all. I thought the one year they even missed the playoffs. So this is where that expectation of this LeBron James, a lot of people have him winning it all this year. And, are we seeing a downfall? I don't know, but I think it's going to be tough for him to keep up the 38, 40 minutes a game, the high intensity when you have a, superstar Ant Edwards on the other side of the floor, who's 25 years old, probably younger, and can run up and down the court 48 minutes a night, no problems.
Yeah, you also have a guy that led his team to the NBA Finals last year. To lead that team, if LeBron can't.
I understand that, but there's been a lot of questions about Luka Doncic's fitness, and I understand that they went to the NBA Finals last year, but there's a lot of things that can be said about his ability to run for 48 minutes, and I think he'll be fine because he is younger. But I don't know, man. I would not be surprised if things don't go as planned for.
Yeah, you said a lot there, Matt. I think, this isn't the first time LeBron has had expectations to go win the championship with the Lakers. It seems like every year, we see the Lakers make their way into the playoffs, and we're saying it's LeBron, man. He can go on a run. He can do it. But he's just at that age where he can't just dominate like that anymore. It's not that long ago where they won what you guys like to call the Mickey Mouse title. With Anthony Davis. I'm not saying it wasn't.
I view it as a title. It can be a Mickey Mouse title, but it can count. I think Matt's on the boat that it doesn't count.
I mean, it definitely.
I'm kind of in the middle.
Counts. It definitely counts,
but it was.
You can call it Mickey Mouse. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right about that. But that was not too long ago. That was LeBron on the Lakers, so they have championship experience. They have. They expect that every year. It's the Lakers. It's LeBron. There's a lot of different places you can look. Now Luka. All of those different pieces you're expecting championships out of. So, yeah, I think everyone's a little frazzled right now that they just lost game one. Anthony Edwards, 25 years old, as you said, just stellar.
But whereas LeBron, I know he had AD, what has he had the supporting cast in a caliber player like Luka Doncic on the late? Like, has he ever had that superstar guy next to him on the Lakers?
AD's definitely the best player that's ever played with him on the Lakers.
Yeah, and they won the COVID year.
They have those expectations, but I forget if it was last year or 2 years ago. Their big deadline acquisition was Rui Hachimura, and they were calling him the Jokic stopper in the playoffs. And he kind of did a decent job for Rui Hachimura, but yeah, they haven't really had that big time acquisition. So the expectations are that much higher. And we are kind of overreacting. It's one game, but if they get bounced in the first round, it's not bad.
I mean, it's one game, but we've already seen the Timberwolves, with this team, probably other than Karl Anthony Towns, go on a run. They made the Western Conference Finals, and the way they were playing in that time, people had them going to the finals, and we were like, who's going to stop this Timberwolves team? But eventually they frauded out and didn't make it. But the Timberwolves are younger, and they're playing just as good. Maybe the record doesn't show it, but Anthony Edwards in the playoffs is starting to prove that, he doesn't belong, but he's got a real shot to win a title one of these years.
Yeah. I think my last sentiments on this, if I'm Lakers fans, I'm not rattled yet. I mean, this next game is a must win for sure. You can't go down 0-2 and then go to Minnesota, but I would think that the Lakers rally in, pull this game 2 out, and then, series is tied up. It's not where you want to be, but it's not the end of the world.
I think we're going to see another graphic like you had with the LeBron and Kyrie 40 each. We're going to see a LeBron 40, Luka 45, and then Austin Reeves 25, and they're going to win by 20.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of overreaction on my part, but, you got to play the bit. And I do agree. I think the Lakers probably win game 2, and then it's anybody's series going back to Minnesota. But, did they come into this one a little lightly? Took the Timberwolves as a joke? I don't know, but they got to kick it back together. All right, other game we saw over the weekend. The New York Knicks survive a scare against the Detroit Pistons. Tobias Harris, I think, had 22 points in the first quarter, which really had the Knick faithful rattled. But look, I'm joking with some of my Knicks fan friends saying that they got robbed. Did they get robbed? I don't know. They blew a lead, so it was kind of shot themselves in the foot. But the Pistons had every right to win that game, and it's classic NBA. They're winning basically the whole game and blow the lead at the end of the game and end up losing by 9. So pretty. I don't know.
3 unanswered touchdowns and extra points. 21-0 run in the fourth quarter.
Like you just can't do that in the playoffs.
Can't
Tobias Harris probably isn't going to drop 20-plus points in the first quarter again. So they needed to win that one, I think, to have any sort of life or chance in this series. And I think just the way they've completely fumbled it out is, the Knicks, maybe the Pistons get one, but this is seeming like a Knicks in 4 or 5.
All right, yeah, you guys just confused the shit out of me. I think Matt said somewhere along the lines there that the Knicks lost the game, and it just threw me for a whirl. The Knicks are the ones that went on a 21-0 run late in this game and won the game.
The Pistons blew the lead.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, I just hope our viewers or our listeners are understanding that.
Yeah, and this is a game too. People love to say steal a game, but when Cade Cunningham has 2 points at halftime, and you're winning the game. You got to finish that.
Yeah, that's the game you got to get.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. Like that was a game they needed to win. Didn't get it done. And for me, like, do I like New York? No. Do I like the fans? No. Do I like the Knicks? No. But it's so tough to root against them because these are all guys who I cheered on for years at Villanova. I mean, won national titles. And, it's tough to root against the guys. But, I don't know.
You got to see that commercial, like every commercial break with the 3 of them and then Dante going the other direction.
Yeah, I mean, are the Knicks going to win it all? I think they don't have the momentum, and I don't know why I think the team's worse this year. I think it's strictly just because of Karl Anthony Towns, but I don't think the Knicks are going to win it all.
I mean, on paper, what they did, bring in Karl Anthony Towns, getting rid of Isaiah Hartenstein, if I'm saying that right, it made sense. But I've seen a lot of people. I like the Knicks fans; they're very passionate, and I've seen them talk about the fact that like Hartenstein, he had the grit, the defensive grit, and just the get dirty mentality that New York Knicks basketball possesses. You swap that for Cat, who's maybe the softest player in the league and has been for over a decade or something like that now. It brought a whole different mentality, a whole different vibe to New York, and it's just not working the way it should be. Regardless of that, though, shout out to OG Anunoby for playing some lockdown defense.
Yeah, he's had a great year, but we'll get to the Thunder game. Isaiah Hartenstein had almost a half triple-double in the first quarter. He had a great game, and he's been great for the Thunder.
Diving on the ground.
really good piece for them. And I don't know. They needed that like center, but they didn't need the superstar center. So I think he just absolutely fits that role, perfectly for OKC and just gives them that much more of a chance to win it all. And like you said, Jack, Karl Anthony Towns doesn't scare anybody. I don't think he's not coming in with that, defensive prowess and he's going to make every shot. I don't know. He just isn't that. I mean, Embiid runs this guy's shit every time they play, and Embiid dominates him. And we see what Embiid's capable of doing in the playoffs. So, no,
Embiid is just way more physical. Like Karl Anthony Towns, just again, like he's a flashier guy, more of a flair guy, softer, likes to shoot the ball, and he's a good offensive player. Not great, but he's a good offensive player. Yeah, and the move made sense for New York, a team that lacks scoring. It's just not working out for them. Not the right culture fit.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. All right, moving on here in a series that the 7 seed was favored over a 2 seed. The Golden State Warriors win on the road over Houston, and we expected this. This is what we expect the Warriors to win this series, I think, easily, and we kind of saw that in the game. And I did see Fred VanVleet getting clowned for playing horribly.
Yeah, Ime Udoka?
Is he the coach?
Yeah, he should be crucified for not playing Amen Thompson in the third quarter. That was disgusting. He was playing a great game, and then the Warriors went on the run. But yeah, rough day for Easter brand names here. Amen Thompson lost. Jesus could be read as Jesus. Luzardo. Phillies lost. And Brad Lord on the Nationals lost. So tough day there. But yeah, the Rockets just did not look like they looked like a team that was playing their first playoff game with a bunch of young guys.
Which is, I think, exactly what we said last week.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's exactly what we said last year.
Right. So there's no surprises here. You're going to tell me the NBA is going to kick Steph Curry out round one with the new sidekick, Jimmy Butler? No way, dude. That team's going to the Western Conference Finals.
Steph was looking vintage, making
vintage,
shots.
Dude. It's a different series. That's why I tweeted out 2 weeks ago. The NBA, or last week, the NBA season starts today. It's night and day difference, like the product, the intensity, everything that you get, and it more makes the league a joke. That what are we doing the whole regular season? They're the 7 seed. They're in the play-in tournament, and they're probably going to make the Western Conference Finals.
Jalen Green has to be better. He looked horrible. I think he had 7 points. Jabari Smith, War Eagle. I love the guy, but he can't look like your second best player if you're going to win an NBA Finals.
I was going to say, he played a phenomenal basketball game. Like,
he did.
He's probably the Rockets' best player, maybe other than the center. No, the center was the best. How do you say his last name? Sengun. Sengun was the Rockets' best player. Jabari was by far, number 2, though. Like, there was a huge drop-off after those two in this game.
And that can't happen, especially for the 2 seed when you're trying to knock off the Thunder, who just won by 50 points.
No, I mean, absolutely can't happen.
Jabari Smith Jr. is a great basketball player. I mean, I shouldn't say great. He's a good basketball player. Can he be your number 2? No, he can't. But it also doesn't help when your starting point guard is what did Fred VanVleet shoot? Like 2 for 10, 2 for 11 on the day. I mean, it was just he shot the ball terrible from 3. Can't miss those kinds of shots when you got Steph Curry on the other side making whatever he wants, however he wants to. Dude's a circus animal. It's awesome.
If him and Jimmy Butler play like they did in this game 1, they could win an NBA Finals.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the Rockets organization was getting clowned for not signing James Harden, but signing Fred VanVleet, and that's what he put up on game 1. So, again, I think when we were talking about the Lakers, we overreacted a bit. At least I did. They're still well in that series, but is this going to be the only upset of the first round?
If they lose,
and I say upset loosely because it's like, how is it really an upset?
Yeah, according to the books, no. But if they lose game 2, I think we're going to see a sweep, and it might be a gentleman's sweep if they somehow win game 2.
I agree with that. All right, the 3 favorites, I think, for the finals: Celtics, Cavaliers, and Thunder. Who do we like after seeing game 1? Like, are we leaning Thunder? Are we leaning Celtics? Are we still out on the Cavs?
I think the Magic might make it a series against the Celtics. I could see them winning 2 home games.
Why do you think that? So they're down 1-0 right now?
Yeah, but Paolo pretty much did whatever he wanted. Franz Wagner had a great first half, kind of disappeared in the second half. But the Celtics went on a lot of runs, and they're going to go on runs because they're a historically great 3-point shooting team. But if those aren't falling in Orlando, I could see the Magic making the series. Now, Boston will still win it, but this could go 6 or 7, and then maybe they're a little tired heading into when they actually have to play good competition.
I appreciate the take.
I'm not going that far at all. Paolo and Franz are great basketball players. They've been playing really well all season long, but that's not enough to get past this, as you said, historically good Celtics team. This Celtics team is good. It doesn't matter what those 2 guys do against them. LeBron, Kyrie, 40 and 40, not enough. It's not enough.
I mean, I know they lost by 20, but they were up at half, and then the Celtics went on the big runs. But when you're at home, your role players like Jonathan Isaac and Corey Joseph are probably going to make some threes that didn't go in TD Garden. So I don't know. I could see it. I'm trying to hype up the Magic a little bit because I want to see one of these series be good, and I don't think the Heat are going to give the Cavs anything. And after watching the Grizzlies game, they might lose by 50 at 4 straight.
Yeah. Going back to Matt's original question, do I feel, a little bit better about any of these 3 teams? I think I don't think any of them are playing good enough competition just yet. But I do have to give the Thunder a lot of credit for that 50-point win. I mean, that doesn't happen every day in the playoffs, and that's pretty incredible, the way they dominated the Grizzlies.
The 5th worst loss in NBA playoff history, 2nd worst loss in Grizzlies history.
Yeah, they're not done. I think they're going to continue to roll. You want to talk about the other series being a sweep, but based on that first game, if OKC doesn't sweep at this point, I think I'll be shocked.
I mean, SGA had like 7 at halftime, and they were up by near 50 points.
They're a great team, man. They're a great team. They're going to win the finals and then get the Sixers pick at like number 3, and everybody's going to be fired up.
3. So you'll probably end up with the Rutgers kid.
No. It's top 6 protected. All right. I mean, it'll be the 7th pick. OKC will keep it. They'll win the finals and still have a lottery pick. If something bad's going to happen, you know it. You know something bad's going to happen. But Brian, to your point, just quick on the Celtics, we got to understand this isn't one and done. This isn't the March Madness where one bad game could see you out of the tournament. You have to beat the Celtics team 4 times. 4 times in a series. So sure, could they have a bad shooting night? Absolutely, and they probably will. But it's not going to happen 4 games in a row or 4 times in a series where it's that consistent of poor performances from the team. And I think that's why the Celtics are still my outright favorite.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's more about this result for me, at least, is more about the Magic missing a lot of shots and staying within striking distance, where maybe if those go in when you're in Orlando. And then you get to a game 6 and anything could happen. And the Celtics are still going to win the series. But maybe if they make it interesting,
you're saying make it a little more interesting. Like I said, I appreciate the take, and I would love to see a feisty first-round matchup for the Celtics. But I just, maybe it just feels like maybe the Magic win a game, but the Celtics are just going to have total control, I think.
You're asking for too much, Brian.
Yeah, I think it's just too tall of a task.
I'm just trying to give some optimism to a friend of the program.
And that's why I appreciate it. The Magic have been pretty piss poor for the better half of almost a decade and a half, at least the 2010s. They were not very good. Like Tracy McGrady and Shaquille O'Neal was the last time they were, and Hito Turkoglu was the last time they were a relevant franchise. And then
Dwight Howard.
Okay, but like what's that? Early 2010s, and then 2015 to just last year. I mean, they were having like 15, 21 seasons.
Yeah, there was a point where Markelle Fultz looked like he was reviving his career because he was playing a lot of minutes in Orlando.
Yeah, it was so they're more competitive. They built through the draft. They haven't really made any crazy free agent acquisitions that I can remember. It's really just, Paolo Banchero. They got the Wagner kid, and they're making it work, man. But it's too tall of a task to take down the Celtics. I'm not sure. But another sneaky team, which I didn't realize the Pacers won, I think, 50 games this year. I thought they were a little worse than that. But the Pacers take down the Bucks without Dame. You would think Giannis would be able alone to keep this game more competitive, but I think the Pacers were pretty much in control. I don't know. I didn't see the end, but I thought the Pacers were up by a good bit.
Yeah, Giannis did his thing. I think he almost had 40 points, but
he tried, but it still wasn't that close.
Yeah, they just don't have that second option. Bobby Portis didn't play well. Brook Lopez did his classic 10 and 7, and then beyond that, you need Pat Connaughton to give you 20. To try to keep up with the Pacers.
Yeah, I tweeted. I thought this was a great matchup to start the NBA playoffs off with if the Bucks were to have Dame, because they're not winning a single game this series if they don't have Damian Lillard playing. They don't have the scoring. The Pacers are too much.
Giannis will have like a 50-point game at home, and they'll steal one.
No, they won't. Think they will. Not without Dame.
That's why you can appreciate a vintage LeBron James more, because he was one of the, who was his second option? I know sometimes he had Kyrie and he had some great players, but he was kind of sort of one-man show winning some rings. I know early days with the Heat, not really, but and then I guess Kyrie, but Giannis did everything he could, 40 points, played out of his mind, and they still really just didn't feel like they had any chance to be a threat to win that game.
Yeah, LeBron took a team with Boobie Gibson and Zydrunas Ilgauskas to the NBA Finals.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like,
to be fair, though, the more I think about that, for LeBron to get over the hump and actually win the championship, though, he did always have a second option. But he did take some bumps to finals, not win it.
Right.
He beat the Warriors team with Delly as his second best scorer.
Yeah, like that was ridiculous.
And by beat him, he won a game.
Yeah.
He would have won 2 if he didn't cramp.
Yeah. The only series he won against them was with Kyrie. Don't forget that.
Yeah, because of Kyrie, too. That shot at the end.
And is Damian, blood clot, that's a pretty serious injury for Lillard. Is he expected back this series? Or are we...
I saw that he's expected back for game 2, but it's not guaranteed.
Yeah, I think they're optimistically hoping for game 2, but I see it being likely when they get back home for game 3.
Back. See if you can steal one in Indiana. It just didn't feel like that they were going to have a chance to beat anything in that game. Like I said, Giannis played out of his mind, and they still couldn't get it done. So
I forgot about him because he was doing cardio the whole time. But their big deadline acquisition was Kyle Kuzma, and he had 0-0-0 and two fouls.
I completely forgot he went there. He's on the Bucks.
Yeah. He was
what are we talking about? LeBron or Giannis absolutely has a second option.
He looked so faded. Kuzma looked so faded the entire time he was out on the court. It just didn't even look like he knew how to play basketball. He looked like he was just a big dude who knew how to stand there and move around and didn't know how to actually use a basketball.
It's hard to get 0-0-0 in a playoff game where you play over.
He had a turnover. He had a foul.
Yeah, and a player that what was he averaging 20 points a game? That's horrible.
Yeah, that can't happen.
It can't happen at all, especially when the team is leaning on you, relying on you. Damian Lillard's not there, so you're forced to be that guy. I'm pretty out on the Bucks. I thought, what's good? I know Giannis did everything he could, but has he just got his ring in Milwaukee and won't be a contender in the East anymore?
Chris Middleton merchant.
Yeah, that was the trade. It was Middleton and some young player for Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't even know Kuzma was there, but that's pretty insane. All right. Anyway, we got some game 2s tonight, and I guess these series will, if necessary, wrap up over the upcoming weekend, maybe leak into early next week.
Yeah, if we get any games,
first round will finish next week.
We'll probably get some,
unless we get some sweeps.
Wednesday show, maybe get some game 7.
Yeah, that'll be pretty electric. But that's pretty much all I got for that one. It's tough to be super dialed in with the Sixers out, as we already discussed and touched on. But is there anything else you guys are looking out for as the first round goes on? I think we have Brian, closeted Magic fan. Jack, is there a team you're on the lookout for to either be an upset Cinderella team? Because Brian was not quiet about his.
No, I think pretty consistent with my picks right now. I got the Knicks. I got the Celtics, the Cavs, the Thunder. I got all the favorites, man. The Warriors are the only lower-seeded team I have pulling it out.
Yeah, and here's where I think, and just to kind of wrap this all up, when we get to the NBA Finals, and I don't have really any crazy rooting interest, I just want to see the most fun, best matchup. Is that matchup Oklahoma City versus the Boston Celtics?
Probably.
Yeah, that'd be maybe well, you could take out of the West, you could take the Lakers, you could take the Thunder, or really the Timberwolves.
But it's the Celtics out of the East, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to be OKC and the Cavaliers.
No, maybe
I mean,
the Knicks.
I like watching the Cavs. I like watching the Knicks, the Celtics. They're all fun teams. They can score in different ways.
Yeah, but like
Pacers would be
best
fun if they made a run.
product, most fun. I think it's the Celtics out of the East, and I think you can be right. There's a debate or questions to be had that it could be multiple teams out of the West to match up with the Celtics, but on paper it seems like Celtics and the Thunder would
Lakers,
be
Maybe any
Warriors.
team in the West besides the Grizzlies, honestly.
really.
And maybe the Rockets. Take out the Grizzlies and the Rockets, and the rest of them. That'd
Quite
be fun.
honestly, I just want to see a Lakers Warriors matchup. So I don't really care who comes out of the East.
Yeah, I still got the Celtics, but yeah, that's the NBA playoffs. Hopefully, we do get that fun matchup in early June. I guess is when the finals kind of start, but still got a long way to go. But we will see how this all unfolds over the next couple weeks and beyond. All right, time to get into a little bit of MLB. We start off with the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the New York Mets in the first showdown of the year. As we're recording this, we're about 10 minutes away from first pitch of game one. Brian, before we even really go crazy into the series alone, I know I've ragged on you about the Mets and this and that, but I mean, we're almost a solid month into the season. You know, where are you at with this Mets team? I know you said you don't care. You're not rattled. It's got to be, end of July and they're 5 games under, 10 games under for you to be rattled. But, where are you at right now?
I'm excited. Like you saying, everything you were saying about the Eagles worked out. Pretty much my biggest bullet point going into this Mets season, besides them having Juan Soto and calling them a top 5 lineup in baseball, was this is the best bullpen I've seen them have since I've been alive. And so far, it's looked like the best bullpen I've seen from them since I've been alive. The bullpen and the starting rotation leads the major leagues in ERA and FIP, even though FIP is like whatever. And also they've been playing cupcakes. But it's good to see the pitching staff and the Mets pitching lab and David Stearns finding the gems in the rough and all that stuff. It's working out so far. And they'll get beat up when they play better competition. But hopefully the offense wakes up a little bit when that happens. So I'm excited. I'm very optimistic after this start.
Yeah, I was wrong. I thought the pitching staff was going to be a disaster, especially the starters. I mean, they've been great, but has Griffin Canning been an all-star guy? Not really.
You don't need him to be, but he has a 3.5 ERA. Clay Holmes is a 3.6. Kodai Senga is second in the majors in ERA, and that's what you really need. You need him to be the bona fide ace. And then you still have John Manea waiting to come back. And David Peterson's look good. Like, if you just have Kodai Senga as your ace and the rest of them just look good, you can make a deadline acquisition. Maybe Brandon Sproat becomes an ace, but it's really just all about Senga being that bona fide superstar number 1 pitcher.
Gotcha. And I agree. And the offense, I think, will come. Is there any slight?
No,
not
I know what you're going to
worriedness,
ask. No, I'm not worried about Juan Soto.
But I mean, we need an opinion or take on this. The Yankee fans are having a great time with it.
Yeah, he had a big hit yesterday. I guess 2 days ago as you're watching this, but opposite field double, which is the swings you're used to seeing from him.
Right.
He'll come out of it. He's been playing in 30-degree weather, does not look comfortable, has the hoodie on, looks grumpy. It'll heat up. His swing will heat up. I'm really excited about Francisco Lindor because since he's been a Met, he hasn't hit the first 2 months of the season. And right now he's playing MVP caliber baseball along with Pete Alonso.
Yeah, Pete Alonso, I think, is the more shocking start. I wouldn't say I'm all that shocked with how Soto kind of got off to life, right? Whenever you see these guys sign huge contracts, always year one seems like it can be a little bit rocky. There's a lot of pressure. People are, expect crazy outcomes because you got paid all this money. They start comparing you to, putting your contract up there and comparing it to where you're at and saying how much money they're wasting, overpay, the whole 9 yards. So I do think there's added pressure. Let them get a year in the Queens in. Everything settles down. The attention will kind of come off a little bit, I think, after this first year's done. And we saw it, I guess, on a smaller scale, definitely smaller money with Trey Turner in year one. I mean, the guy did not look like himself with the Phillies, and has been solid and fine. I think he's doing okay right now. I'm not honestly quite sure what his average is, but I haven't been pissed with him, so I think he's fine. But yeah, no. With the Phillies, it's a complete opposite. We thought the pitching staff in the starters and the bullpen would be serviceable and usable and just not as bad. I mean, the bullpen's the second worst in baseball right now, which is a serious issue. It's a serious issue. Jordan Romano, that guy might get DFA'd. He's on a 1-year, $10 million contract. They need to cut him. I mean, he's been brutal. Can't trust Orion Kerkering. Jose Alvarado's a little bit of a head case. You just don't know what you're going to get. When he's on, he's on. If he's not, he's going to start walking the entire lineup. So it's a scary place to be because you need that dynamite lights out, at least like two lights out guys, especially in the playoffs. And they don't even have one right now. I know there's questions to be said about Alec Boehm not playing well, although he kind of got it back on. He had a hit game streak going. Max Kepler, I think, is roping balls all over the field, and he's just hitting it in the wrong spots where they're loud out. So I'll remain patient there. I'm concerned about JT Realmuto's bat. I don't know if he'll be a factor. And Marchand, the backup switch hitting catcher that everybody hyped up, isn't taking up the opportunity that he was given. He's not blowing it out of the water, kind of like he did sort of in a short period of time of games last summer. So, yeah, man, the bullpen's got to get fixed. It might be too much of an issue to fix. You can't go and revamp the entire bullpen. So I don't know where they're going to go from here. I do know the Pope died yesterday, so I hope everybody has their Nick Castellanos bet slips.
I saw that was a very popular bet today, but
it's the number one guy to hit a home run.
Wasn't the bullpen the issue last year? Isn't that the reason you guys got bounced last year?
I mean, in the final game against the Mets, sure. Like Estevez, I mean, he was forced to throw a fastball down the pipe. I wouldn't.
No, I don't necessarily mean in the last game. I just mean in general. I felt like that was your issue last year. You had a great lineup. You had great starting pitching, and it was the relievers that kept on blowing every game.
Yeah, and it was weird because Jeff Hoffman was lights out, and then that game one against the Mets blew it up. I mean, that was just a disaster. Orion Kerkering was that 2023 year when he came up and pitched I guess the World Series year he pitched. I'm not quite sure. But then he also pitched in that year they lost in the NLCS, and he was fine, and then he blew it up. So the bullpen's always been an issue. They've never – the only was the World Series year, Jose Alvarado was, like, unbelievable, untouchable. And Jeff Hoffman came on strong, and they had that 1-2 punch out of the bullpen, and we haven't been able to rely on that. And you could say what you want about Matt Strahm. He can have whatever stats he has, but I don't know that. Like Strahm, Orion Kerkering, Alvarado, and Romano, you can't trust any of those guys right now, and that's a serious problem to have when you legitimately have zero pitchers in the bullpen that you can go to and get stress-free 3 outs.
Yeah, and then you look at the Mets, and like Danny Young needs to be shot into the sun. The only reason he's on the roster is because he's the only left-hander. But everyone else, like I have grown to have full confidence in. Even Max Kranick, who I've been hyping up since last year, he's been dynamite out of the bullpen, and it's been great to see. And it won't last. They're not going to have a 1 ERA in the bullpen all year long. But if they could do it for this Philly series and pick up 2 or 3 wins, that'd be huge.
Yeah, I think the Mets are a little hotter coming into the series than the Phillies are for sure. Both teams, I think, coming off series wins. Did the Mets sweep this weekend?
Yep.
Yeah, so both teams coming off series wins. And look, is this series going to shape the rest of the year? No, but it's always nice to win a series against a divisional opponent, especially a team, Marlins, okay, whatever. They're the Marlins. Nationals, whatever. But like Mets, Phillies, Braves are the 3 teams picked to win this division. So these are the series that matter.
Yep. And all of a sudden the Braves are, I think they're 5 under. They've been kind of surging, but they'll get to 500 by Memorial Day.
Yeah. It's just a slow start, and I think they'll play their way into, maybe not division, but if the San Francisco Giants keep playing well, that National League wild card could get really tricky coming down to the end of the year.
You even have the Diamondbacks playing decent
Right.
ball too, and the Padres could be the second best team in baseball right now.
The whole NL West is playing unbelievable. So again, long season. See if they can keep pace, but some shocking teams that doesn't bode well for the National League wildcard teams because, whoever wins the NL East, that team that doesn't win is going to be in, I think, for a bit of a fight. So I think the NL East is that much more important now, and it matters tonight. But I not as confident as I need to be in the Phillies right now. The bullpen wasn't addressed. It wasn't addressed in the offseason that it needed to be. It was half addressed with Romano. They didn't value Hoffman like they should have. Here we are, and you can't really fix it. Teams know you're desperate for bullpen arms. They're going to hold the price tag high on guys who are good. It's a total disaster. So you kind of just have to figure it out from within and hope for the best, I guess.
Yeah.
Jack, you have any thoughts, Mets, Phillies? You've been tapped in at all, or what do you got on both?
No, listen, I'm disappointed to hear that Soto's off to a slow start, but your points about it were true. I mean, sign the big contract; it's bound to happen. I really want to know how your boy's doing, though. You haven't brought up your boy Mark Vientos yet. How's he doing?
Horrible.
No,
batting like 120.
He was batting like 120. He hit homers in back-to-back games this weekend.
Okay,
and then he strained his hamstring.
Lord have mercy.
So start off the year, he was like 1 for 40, dude.
None of the Mets were hitting.
No, none of the Mets were hitting, but he was especially bad.
It'll even out. I have full faith.
But I didn't know he hit the home runs. So he hit the home runs, which I think, the average is still probably poor. Hitting 2 home runs in back-to-back games doesn't elevate your average like crazy.
It was like 111. Now it's, I think, 180. So he's bringing it up.
Look, I gotta say, even though the Mets are struggling, they might lose this series. Sounds like they're struggling enough where they might lose this series, but
they're not. They're in
I would
place.
still
think the Phillies are in a worse spot than the Mets are.
Gotcha. Well, I was gonna say I'd rather be where the Mets are before knowing that. I'd rather be where the Mets are than the Phillies are, simply because I remember talking about this last year, at the end of last year, in the offseason, beginning of the season. Now the Phillies just running through this thing with insanity printed across their forehead, trying it back with the same issues, didn't fix the issues. Let's just try it again. And it's just, I'd rather be where the Mets are.
And I think that's why the Phillies fans are so irritated, are so mad this early in the season, because it's not like teams have bad starts and can go on runs and win it all. We see that every year, but it's what we've seen in the playoffs over the last 3 years, the collapse, and we're seeing those same issues, those never fixed, non-fixable issues that they don't address, be the immediate main problem in the beginning of the year, which is why there's more stress and, fan overreaction, I guess you can call it. But it's because we've seen it disaster in the playoffs. So you could say, it's only April and there's all. It's like, no, we know what this team is. We know what's going to happen. So that's where you're seeing, people be really, really upset early on, because of what we've seen in October's past.
It's got to be that in combination with, last year, you guys were the hottest team to start the season, weren't you?
All year until like All-Star break and then end of July. It was like,
and then the Mets. That's right. And then Brian.
And the Mets got red. It flipped. The Mets got red hot, and the Phillies lost it was like 9 out of 10 games, 10 out of 13. Like it was just it was bad. It was an Eagles-esque collapse, like we saw the Eagles do 2 years ago. So. Here's what it is, man. I don't know how you fix the issue. Dombrowski's got to get to work, get on the phone. Try and fix it now. Don't wait until the deadline. Try and wheel and deal. They have good prospects for the first time in a while in the minors. I'm not saying mortgage the future, but you have pieces you can move around that have played well in spring training and into the AAA campaign that, they should have some value. where you can go and make moves and try and make this team they'll be competitive, sure, but your window, you're approaching a dangerous territory that this fan base has seen in Philadelphia of what the Sixers are. Make the playoffs every year, but can't close. And I understand the Phillies made the playoffs and they made it farther than the Sixers have, but they're approaching that territory of where it's playoffs and then they crash out. So it's a dangerous game to play with this fan base, especially.
The last thing on the Mets, Luis Angel Acuna is playing like an all-star. I love that guy.
That's the third person on the Mets that's playing like an all-star, apparently.
Well, Pete Alonso and Lindor are playing like MVPs. Acuna's playing like an all-star.
I didn't know Lindor was. Alonso definitely is, though. Guys got the home runs. The average, that's a guy who was batting like 220, and he's batting like 340 right now.
Yep.
Still
the multi-hit games.
The multi-hit like a dork.
The running
you had to
is
call
ridiculous.
Him a dork. That clip of him rounding second for the triple was insane.
Wild. And still, it's unbelievable. But no, it should be a fun week. We do get some divisional rival baseball. I guess the Phillies have played the Braves. Have the Mets played the Braves yet?
No, the Mets haven't played. This is their first division. Oh, no, they played the Marlins twice.
They played the Marlins twice.
Yeah.
I do remember that. We'll see what happens. It should be a fun week, and tickets to get into Citi Field, head out there. $3 for standing room only today, I saw. Mets faithful not showing up during the week.
They've sold out the past 5 games.
Yeah, the weekend.
It's also, I don't know if it's a sellout, but it looks pretty packed in there right now.
Gotcha. Well, we'll see. We'll see how that goes down. All right, that's baseball for us. Why don't we jump into the Michael of the week and see what the fellas have this week? We're back with the Michael of the week up here in section 400. Mr. Brian, your Michael of the week, since this is just absolutely your favorite segment.
Yeah, anytime we can get this guy into a podcast, I try to plug him. Ben Simmons was the Clippers scout team player for Nikola Jokic.
What?
Ben Simmons is on a scout team.
They had him prepare the team.
Oh, because he's on
the Clippers.
He's on the Clippers. Okay, that makes sense.
So he was their Jokic in practice.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't start.
Does he play?
Not really.
I didn't think so. No,
he doesn't get crazy minutes. What a fall off, man. I mean,
this
guy was borderline all-pro or all-NBA, whatever they call it.
Well, I think it was Stephen A. Smith who said, oh, LeBron, don't worry. We're good. We got Ben Simmons.
Yeah, I mean, he was that close to, if he just developed a jump shot, he literally was LeBron James as a lefty.
Was it Stephen A. or was it Skip? I think that was a Skip. That seems like a Skip name.
Dude, it's crazy, though.
But
it's facts.
Yeah.
He was a jump shot away from being first team all NBA, LeBron-esque, because then he would be able to guard him. What they were doing is camping in the paint because he couldn't shoot. If you had to respect his jumper, it was game over.
Yeah, well, he either needed a jump shot or some mental fortitude, and he had neither.
Yeah. That was, I guess, the yips got to him. But, yeah, he's doing what he can to stay in the league, Brian. And, him playing on the scout team, pretending to be the opponent's best player, that's where he fits in.
Might be the perfect role for him.
Yeah, I mean, seems like a pretty good role. I think Jokic. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just said battery low. Please charge now. I thought it died. What the fuck? Anyway, yeah. I don't even know what I was saying because I was rattling in my head out of nowhere.
Yeah, you didn't really help him out too much because Jokic had a 30-point. I think it was 1 rebound away from a triple-double in game 1.
And the Nuggets won?
Yeah, they won in overtime. Russell Westbrook hit a huge 3 at the end of that game.
Yeah,
what a turnaround.
That's a great series. That's probably going to be. I think that's the best series in the first round. If I had to take a stab at it, that's going to be the best one.
Might be a home team wins every game type one.
Yeah. Well, to get into my Michael of the week, Cooper Flagg declared for the NBA draft. That's not my Michael. Just playing around. Throwing stones at the Michael of the week. My actual Michael of the week is college basketball related, though. Teams, the list is at 8 right now, and it might grow because the landscape is ever changing. But there are 8 teams with over $10 million in NIL money to dish out to players to recruit. That's the new name of the game. Not only do you have to be, talking to these kids' parents and the family, telling them, well, take care of your son, doing all the traditional things. Now you also have to come prepared with like $2 million for a starting guard. It's crazy. $10 million some of these schools are going to have to throw at some kids. And damn well there are other schools that won't have 2.
I think Auburn one of the 8, or were they the bracket below?
Bracket below.
Yeah. Villanova was up there, though.
The 2 teams headlining, St. John's was up there. The 2 teams headlining at the very top of that 10 million plus bracket was BYU and Kentucky.
Sounds about right.
It's all like booster fund based, right? I mean,
Yep.
what boosters are dumping money into the program, and that's what you're going to see. I'm not shocked to see Villanova. I mean, they have a incredible fan base, and a lot of big time. People do very well when they get a degree from Nova. Financially, I mean. So I'm not surprised to see a big booster fund, especially the disaster of the program that we've seen. It's just a national embarrassment from what it was to them, what Kyle Neptune left it as. They're pissed. They want to see a good product on the basketball court, and they're putting up. They're putting their money where their mouth is and loading up. So, this is the college landscape now. We don't see, I guess, programs. We see who can flex the most money and pay their way to a title. It's what it is.
Yeah. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, $10 million. You only have 5 players on the court at any given time. Most of these teams, when you get down to tournament time, you're only seeing 6, 7, 8 guys get into the rotation. I mean, it's literally, you could be paying guys $1 million, $2 million a pop for a full roster right there. It's crazy.
Yeah, I agree. It's the NIL and it's what it is. But I will lock into my Michael of the week here, and I think it happened over the weekend, maybe just as soon or quick as yesterday. But did anybody see Max Fried was throwing a no-hitter, and the no-hit bid was let up? It was a ground ball to first base. That was clearly an error by the first baseman, and they came back and ruled it a hit. I don't know why the MLB scoring committee or whoever it was hates Max Fried. And we don't know if he was going to throw a no-hitter. But, I mean, he was dealing. He was what inning did that happen in? That was like later on in the game. It wasn't like it was.
I think.
Yeah, like this guy was on no hit alert. And did you guys see the ground ball? I mean, I don't know how that's not an error.
Yeah, it was an error.
I didn't.
It was
see the
totally an error.
It was a bad hop, but it was an error.
I'm gonna look at it right now.
An error, and he should have kept it bad.
We've been seeing a lot of these in sports lately out of nowhere, like the retroactive changes. Like Jaren Jackson Jr. against the Thunder hit a 3, and then 3 minutes later they took 3 away and say it was standing out of bounds, and that didn't count. And then the Celtics series, you had the third quarter end, and then the refs went back to the replay table and said that Celtics committed a foul with 0.5 seconds left. So Franz Wagner shot free throws to end the third quarter and then right away start the fourth quarter. So I don't know whose idea this was to just go back and change stats after the things happened, but it's kind of annoying. And that play was an error.
Totally an error. I mean, it was a ground ball that the guy completely whiffed on. So bad bounce, good bounce, whatever you want to call it. Could have get it done. But Jack, did you watch it?
I'm trying to find the damn video.
It was Paul Goldschmidt who made the error.
Maybe and it was a clear error. But no, That's the Michael of the week. Always a fun segment. I guess I won't be here for the midweek or the Sunday show. I'm going on a mini vacation and bachelor trip, so you guys will have Brian and Jack holding it down, and some rumors of some special guests from the Views from Section 400 team potentially hopping on for some shows or segments to talk some NFL draft. But since I obviously won't be here with some travel stuff and won't be on the show, I think it's a good time with the draft this Thursday to talk a little Eagles football on where they're kind of going to be, right? They won the Super Bowl. Everybody's off the high. Howie Roseman has been dominant drafting over the last few years. So everybody's kind of going into it like, oh, Howie's got us, Howie's got this. I mean, the Eagles were gutted on defense. Josh Sweat, CJ Gardner-Johnson, more names that I'm forgetting off the top of my head, Milton Williams. So, they have to be prepared for this draft and do something. And they only have the 32nd pick. They have a second round. They have a third round. They have a fourth round. And then they have like 4 or 5 fifth round picks. So I think Howie's going to move some magic and make something happen, maybe in a trade. But I think interior lineman is a need again. A defensive end is something I would try and make a play on. If I'm looking at prospect lists, they're not going to get Abdul Carter. They're not going to have enough capital to trade into the top, 5 they would need to trade into to even have a shot? Top 2. So he's going 2, you think?
He's going to be going in the top 3. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. So there's just not enough capital for that. The Eagles are going to be willing up. Historically, we know Howie Roseman's not going to mortgage what he's been collecting and hoarding for the last, for however many years to just go all in on Abdul Carter. I don't think that's the case. But there's an interesting guy out there who had an unbelievable year for Marshall. I don't know if you heard of him, Mike Green. This guy's on some prospect lists as the 5th best D end. I think he should be around at the 32 spot. And if he's not, the Eagles maybe only have to trade up to the high 20s, which I don't know. If you're at 32 and you need to get up to like 24, you obviously flip your 32nd pick, and then does a 4th round pick get that done? 3rd round pick? What gets that done to move up maybe 5 or 6, 7 spots?
Well, we saw this just last year with the Chiefs and Buffalo. The Chiefs trading up to get Xavier Worthy's spot. I believe from Buffalo. I believe that was. I'm gonna have to go back and check the stats on that, but that's a very similar trade. I think it was something around a 4th round pick. That's doable,
right? And in a year where the Eagles have a shit ton of 5th round picks, I'm not sure what they have 4th round wise, but I think that's a smart play. Give up the 32nd, mortgage one of those 5th round, 4th round picks, whatever you got. See how far up you can get from 32 to move into that.
So just to provide a little bit of clarity here, the Chiefs traded the Buffalo Bills a 4th round pick and a 7th round pick in order to go from 32 to 28. So that's 4 spots for a 4th and 7th. If you want to be moving up, 8, 9 spots.
So maybe you got to make it a 3rd round pick.
A 3rd round pick,
probably. 3rd and a 5th. I mean, they have like 5 first round picks. That's got to be in the package, one of those picks.
5 5th round picks.
Yes. So I'm saying, like, give them a 5th, give them a 4th, and then you flip your first round pick. So you don't pick at 32 and you jump up. I don't know what gets it done. I really don't.
It really depends on how far you're going to want to get up there and who the other team is.
Right.
It always depends.
It does always depend. But I think Howie will be active. I would be shocked if the Eagles make a selection at 32. I think they're either going to trade up or they're going to trade out of the spot to maybe gather some more assets and make a play from there. So I don't know, not to rush through this. I do have the headphones that are eventually going to die out on me here, but I would take a shot on Mike Green. I think it's a sneaky guy, Marshall, but is Michael Williams going to be there? Probably not. I mean, this guy's probably going to go, I would think, top 20. I mean, if Williams is there, great. But I just don't know if he's going to be there.
Yeah, Mike Green sounds like a guy that's going to get you 8 sacks a year for 7 years. Just be
Right?
dependable.
Just be
Yeah.
dependable. That's what they need. So I think the biggest need is the defensive line. That's been Howie's bread and butter. I don't know if you saw Cam Jurgens got locked up until 2029 with the Eagles. So your Hall of Fame-esque, I guess Lane Johnson's the only Hall of Famer right now. Is Mailata?
He's on his way. He's not
Yeah,
yet.
maybe.
Not yet. I don't
Not
think
Lane
yet.
Johnson, definitely.
Lane Johnson, definitely. But the Hall of Fame-esque line, I think it stands. It's one of the best in football. They're tied together for the next, until 2028, 2029. So they're in good hands. Just continue to build out the defense. And Howie always snipes, a guard or whatever. Use one of those 5th-round picks on one of those guys, I think. He can make some magic. But interior line and some pass rush help, I think, is where they need to get stronger. And then obviously, who knows what they're going to do at the safety position. Cooper DeJean's very versatile. He can move around nickel, safety, but I think they might make a play to get another couple D-backs because I don't think they're sold on Sidney Brown being the full-time safety.
I mean, you guys are going to be running Cooper. You're going to be running Quignon. Who else do you have back there?
Imagine not having Javon Holland.
Blankenship.
It's who?
Javon Holland.
Is
Good
that the guy the
safety.
Giants got?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they had to they were very honest about CJ. They couldn't pay him. They wanted to lock up the younger guys. Not that CJ's super old, but he's older than the main core they're looking to keep together. And that's what they had to do. And Howie's been lights out in the draft, I think, the last couple of years. I do think we've been drunk off the Super Bowl high. So it doesn't feel like there's been that much preparation involved that's needed. We know how he's probably working behind the scenes, but it's like, oh, we won the Super Bowl. Saquon Barkley's great. This doesn't feel like the fan base is taking the NFL draft that serious or as serious as maybe they should. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but
it makes total sense. It makes total sense. You guys just won the Super Bowl. Not really interested in a rookie. A rookie's not necessarily going to help you win the Super Bowl this next year. It makes sense. You're picking 32nd overall. It's
not a desirable pick.
You have no idea who's going to fall to you at that point. You can do as many mock drafts as you want. There's going to be 31. There's going to be a combination of 31 players taken ahead of you at that 32 spot that you're not going to get in your mock. Having said that, you're saying you don't even expect them to take a pick at 32. They could trade up, trade down. So you never know when you're that deep either.
Yeah, they might have guys circled like, hey, if he's still here at 25, 26, let's trade up and go get a guy that we feel good about. If the guys on their radar aren't there, they're not just going to make a pick to make a pick. Howie's very good at gathering assets and trade back and move on from there. You can still use draft capital. We saw it on draft night when they acquired A.J. Brown. To get guys who are already proven in the league to use that capital to trade around and bring somebody in. So we'll see. But obviously coming off the Super Bowl win, you're not as invested in the NFL draft as some of these other teams who are looking to get better quickly, especially like you guys. I mean, top 10 picks. That's exciting.
Definitely.
Going to be the whole show on Wednesday. Just us talking about how we can make our teams good again.
Yeah, and
good.
We don't have to preview that, but what, the Giants are the 3rd pick?
Giants are 3, Jags are 5.
Yeah, so I guess the Giants have a little more where you're going to go. Like, Jack, even at 5, it's pretty much up in the air on who the heck's going to fall to them.
Yeah, I mean, we can get into it now if we want, but it's really.
No, I'm saying it's like the Giants. I feel like you're like, okay, we're either going to get Carter or we're going to get Hunter.
Yes, yeah, the top 3 feels pretty set between Cam Ward and then a combination of the next 2, blue chip prospects.
Cam Ward lock at 1.
Yes.
Who's Lockett to? Carter?
It'll be either Carter or Hunter. And then the
Carter
other
or
one will
Hunter.
So the Browns will make the pick for the Giants.
Exactly.
Is how that feels.
I mean, the Patriots at 4. Yeah, a lot of people are saying the offensive tackle, Will Campbell. That's what you guys were saying on the last pod. I could see it happening, but that's where it really starts to come.
That's where it starts getting tricky, and then it's obviously the Jaguars have to wait and see because they're not.
Shador Sanders.
They're gonna have to make a pick
For who?
For you.
Oh, stop it,
dude. Gladstone wants his guy.
We're not doing this.
See it all the time.
You guys are too funny.
We see it all the time.
We're not doing this.
Listen, I had to do this with JJ McCarthy last year, so now it's your turn to sweat out a quarterback.
It's to see, Brian, if you want to do this, the whole they want to get their guy. The conversation would be Genty at 5. Do we want him over what we have in ETN and Tanks Bigsby? That's the how about that? No, we're not doing Shador over Trevor Lawrence, dude. It's just that's not happening.
A fair point. We saw the Falcons get crazy last year. Dave Gettleman
He's not wrong.
Kirk Cousins like 35 years old. Trevor Lawrence is like 25.
We see
kind of old in football years.
And the Giants didn't have a quarterback, but Gettleman came in. He wanted to draft his guy. The new GM wants their guy. Maybe Gladstone comes in and gets his guy.
Trevor Lawrence is the guy. Those guys took the job to work with Lawrence. You should, I'm not surprised you guys aren't tapped into the Jaguars circles. Hearing the GM, the coach, the OC, the new quarterbacks coach, Whipple talking. They love Trevor, dude. Trevor is that guy. He's our guy, and we're happy to have him. There's nobody else coming in. There's no Shador Sanders. We're not taking
ball from Shador is going to be amazing.
We're not. I'll tell you right now.
There will not be a quarterback than us actually thinking that, but it was working.
It's not. It's not. There won't be a quarterback selected by the Jaguars in the 2025 draft.
Jalen Milroe.
I mean,
if he
right.
falls
I don't.
5th round, maybe.
I don't think the Jaguars will do that. But we can't sit here and act shocked because we've seen it. Daniel Jones wasn't supposed to go at 6 overall. Nobody thought the Falcons were going to do. Okay, nobody thought the Falcons were going to do what they did. And Penix didn't look great last year when he played either. I mean, they tried to give him the reins, and the Falcons missed the playoffs. So
he looked like a rookie quarterback for sure.
Yeah,
but again, we're talking about Trevor Lawrence.
Things get crazy.
First deal. He just signed his first big deal. We are locked into him. He's locked into us. Period. This isn't Kirk Cousins on his third team, signing a 3-year, $40 million contract.
Did Trevor Lawrence get his jersey retired by his school? Because Shador Sanders just got his jersey retired.
Oh, my God. Trevor Lawrence is easily the best thing to ever happen to Clemson, so it'll happen one day. You can believe that. They're just – Clemson's a smart university and not going to retire a player who, just played for them 100 days ago.
Yeah, I mean, all I'm saying is we see crazy stuff happen. I mean, look, Eagles picking Hurts when they had Wentz.
There you go.
I mean, they gave Wentz. So you want to talk about giving a guy the money? They gave the guy the money and still flipped around. I mean, they gave him that extension, gave him all that money, and then bang, went Jalen Hurts. And it obviously basically was the beginning of the end of Carson Wentz. I mean, it was just inevitable that this guy was going to get driven. I mean, North Dakota guy. I mean, that just all that pressure that drove him out of town.
Jalen Hurts fit the system, and they didn't have to spend first-round capital on him. Shador Sanders is supposed to go in the top 20 picks.
Right. I'm just saying there's examples out there.
And they don't match up to the Jaguars' current situation and what you want to push with Shador Sanders. You have not shown me an actual example of how this would actually make sense. I understand what y'all are trying to do. I respect
find out Thursday night.
I respect what you guys are trying to do, but
we'll
it
pick
ain't
this up
working.
again on Wednesday.
Yeah, you guys can pick it up and
I'll bring my reasons.
Some better insight and analysis.
Come locked in, Brian.
Brian,
you're getting an F for today.
Yeah, Brian can bring his why the Jaguars are going to go after a quarterback, and Jack can talk about how the Giants will F up this pick, even if another team's making the pick for them.
Yeah, Joe Schmo. I have faith in you to screw this up.
I mean,
Can't even defend him.
so if Travis Hunter's there, dude, you'd be rattled if they like. I mean, if Travis Hunter's there and they don't pick him, like, are you
They
done?
pick him.
What if they take Shedeur Sanders?
They're not taking Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, they got Winston, Russell Wilson. I think they've made their bed of saying, "Hey, we're not going after a quarterback." But we'll see. Maybe later on in the draft. But all right, that's what we got. We don't have to get too crazy into it. Tried to give my needs where I think the Eagles need to go in the draft. Jack and Brian will explain their team's needs in the midweek show. I'll be out for travel, so you'll be in good hands with Jack and Brian and potentially some other guests. I will see you guys in a week on the next midweek show. I guess will be when I'm back. So enjoy the draft, everybody. Go Birds. That's all I got. Super Bowl champs, baby.
Another homer for Lindor.
MVP.
Noah sucks.